All right, what's going on, everybody? The bar has just opened up, and people are starting to trickle in. Obviously, across the way here behind me, Mercedes-Benz Stadium filling up to see Lionel Messi and Inter Miami take on his former club and current Champions League winners, Paris Saint-Germain, or PSG, as it were. For the folks that are here in the bar already, I will say, if you're here, I know it's 5 o'clock somewhere. There will be a couple of drinks given out during this. So even if you're not here for soccer, you're not here for the show, and you randomly showed up and you're like, who is this guy up here running his mouth about football? This is the Scarves and Spikes podcast. My co-host Sydney is on his way as well, so I'm kind of running it solo for a little bit. But yeah, we're here for this pretty big soccer match that's going on across the way behind me at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Like I said, Lionel Messi in town, no stranger to Atlanta at this point. He's been here plenty of times. But PSG here to kind of continue their dominance. They're going on now almost 365 days, a full year of playing football at this point, between the various tournaments, their league play over in Ligue 1 in France. Lots of stuff going on for PSG. So they've got something to prove. And again, playing against the best player in the world who used to be on their team. So, again, as folks trickle into the bar, if you are unfamiliar, again, this is the Scarves and Spikes podcast. My name is Tyler Pilgrim. We typically cover soccer in and around Atlanta, the Southeast, everything else. And so that's essentially why we are here covering the Club World Cup, one of the biggest sporting events that's come to the city, come to the country in quite some time. It's kind of the appetizer for the actual World Cup that's coming here next year. And so by nature, we're here to cover all of it. And at the end of the day, it's a Sunday morning. We're going to talk some soccer. We are going to have fun. Like I said, probably give out a couple of drinks, and we'll just chat about some footy. So for everybody watching at home, obviously, I see people in the chat already. Definitely, hop in, throw us some questions. I'm kind of running solo for a little bit until Sydney gets here. But Omar asking, is the over under 3 goals? I look, here's the thing. We'll kind of start off with PSG. They have been absolutely on one for months now. They've been one of the best teams in world football. Obviously, Champions League is a big deal. But, I mean, just in general, they've played really, really well. And go and take a look. So, Dan saying 5-1 PSG. I mean, I honestly don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But you look at their Group B. All right, it was PSG, Botafogo, Atletico Madrid, Seattle Sounders. They completely ruined all of my predictions. But PSG, Botafogo came out both with 6 points. Madrid had 6 as well, but the tiebreaker went to Botafogo. So, you've got some of the best, and I guess, point players in world soccer playing for PSG at this point. Achraf Hakimi has been killing it. Fabian Ruiz has just been kind of that steadfast guy that's provided everything you need for this team consistently in every match he's played in. I mean, Miami got to where they're at now through maybe the easier routes for all the MLS teams. Obviously, Seattle didn't win a game. LAFC, not much better, maybe a little bit better, but neither one of them made it out of the group. Yeah, I'll go. And you know what? I'll do it live. People watching at home. Let me get what is the name of it? The coffee, like the martini. What's that one? Let me grab one of those and the salmon. And then Sydney will be here in a minute, and we'll figure out what he wants. But quick shout out for bar here at the Signia by Hilton Atlanta, taking care of us, letting us do these shows, letting us come up here and talk about soccer for a little bit, for Club World Cup, for Atlanta United, and then specifically today about Inter Miami, Messi, PSG. And like I said, Co-host will be here in a little bit, but until then, I'm essentially just running my mouth talking about what's going on across the way here behind me. So, but yeah, so getting back to, I mean, we talked about PSG. Miami, on the other hand, you know, they pulled one over. I think they kind of made it work, right? They took out Porto, which I don't think anybody necessarily expected. It was going to be a tough match. They did the job. Group A was Palmeiras, Inter Miami, Porto, and Al Ahly. And Palmeiras and Inter Miami. Hey, y'all come in. You want to listen to some folks talk about soccer? We're giving away some drinks in a little bit too. So, here's the thing: when it comes to Miami or any team that has a man named Lionel Messi on it, there is that any given Sunday mentality. Any day, this man can go and pull something out of his hat and win a game, whether it's against one of the best teams in the world or not. The challenge today is going to be creating opportunities and getting him more involved. He's going to do his thing. He's going to make himself involved. But this team, Inter Miami, they've got injuries, all right? Things have not been going well, both in MLS and into this Club World Cup as far as injuries are concerned. And so that's going to be a factor. Messi, again, any given day, he'll be the game winner. But PSG, the most well-rounded club right now in club soccer, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people would probably agree. Sydney, welcome. You look like you've been running a marathon out in the humidity. You're good right here. This one's already on. So
a little late, but
you're all good, man. Look, I've got us going.
Good. Yes.
We're having a good time.
It's a little bit of a thin crowd this morning. It just opened, so.
But so I've already let them know that we got drinks. I'm going to be giving out in a little bit.
It's a little early for this. It's like 11:13.
No, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, my man. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
How are you feeling about this matchup? PSG, Inter Miami, Messi facing his former club. I don't know if you already talked about that already.
I mean, yes, I've been talking about it for about 5-10 minutes so far. I think let's start off with this.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of where I was going.
Yeah.
The overarching World Cup so far.
Yes.
Have you had any massive surprises?
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I haven't seen a lot of it because I got married.
You did. Congratulations to you. Got married a couple of days ago.
Man, I don't know if there have been any big surprises. You know, just from what I've seen in the bracket, just how things have played out. I guess I expected River to go a little bit farther than they.
Yep.
I would love to see like a Boca River knockout round match, but of course that's not to be. But I mean, what about you?
Yeah, I was actually to answer my own question. I thought about this before, and to me, it was River and Boca. I actually had River being kind of like my dark horse to go all the way.
Oh,
and neither of them did what they needed to do. I got to give a quick shout out to the River and Boca fans because they showed out.
I'm sure
amazingly at every match that they went to. You know, we talk about the kind of the running theme of this Club World Cup has been the attendance, and you know, there's a lot of factors behind the attendance, right? And some outlets, some news outlets, some social media folks are going to sit there and try to make the entire thing about the attendance wasn't that great at the Club World Cup. Well, if you put a game on a Monday during rush hour,
like 3
you're probably not going to have many people show up. It doesn't matter who's playing. So, but no, I mean, I think River Boca was a big one. Also, Mamelodi Sundowns and Borussia Dortmund. Mamelodi Sundowns was one of the biggest underdogs in the entire tournament. A South African team that has just doesn't have the firepower that some of these other big teams have, and went 4-3 against Borussia Dortmund. It's impressive.
It is, and you know, I was just thinking about Borussia Dortmund. They'll of course play Monterrey on Tuesday, and that's going to be a massive match. I imagine a lot of Monterrey fans will be in the building. Mexican fans always seem to show up.
Yes.
Whatever the team. So I expect that on Tuesday. But the winner of this one, PSG Inter Miami, takes on either Flamengo or Bayern Munich. And I feel like the fans' choice, not necessarily our choice, but the fans' choice would be certainly PSG versus Bayern Munich. I mean, another day, that's a Champions League match, right? But
I mean, yeah, that's about as big as you're going to get at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in terms of club matches.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, next year the World Cup is coming, so that's a totally different beast. But we're giving away drinks in a minute if you guys want to hang out.
Let me ask you this:
mimosas.
This has to be the biggest club match in the history of Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
For sure.
That might be overlapped on Tuesday, depending on what the result is. But I mean, this in another bracket, this could be a final, really, or not, maybe not a final, but maybe a quarterfinal or a semifinal.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is one of those where it's, I think that's kind of the beauty of this entire tournament is the fact that you have clubs that, I mean, they may not play here again for decades, right? Yeah. Like that's just the way it is. And, we see like the Premier League Summer Series, and we see teams that come over to the U.S. to do like essentially preseason matches, which is fun. But this is a meaningful match.
Yeah.
And these are all big matches. Yeah, this is like going to be a knockdown, drag out kind of thing because take away Messi, but Miami in this point is the only MLS team left. Right. They want to prove something, but then you put in the story of PSG's his old team, and they're the Champions League winners.
I mean,
they can take them out.
That's a narrative, right?
100%.
Narrative. Messi facing his former team, and not to make it all about Messi, but
it usually is.
Yeah, it usually is. But that's going to be the big draw, right? That's what the headline will be going into this match. What can Messi do against his former club? And sort of the sub-headline to that, if you're an MLS fan, is how can Inter Miami cope with a global superpower like PSG, Champions Cup holders or Champions League holders, just over a month prior to this. So those are the two big headlines.
Yeah. And it would be a big point of pride, right? They've already taken out Porto, which is one of the Portuguese giants. And that was a massive kind of upset for Miami. That got them here. I said that day, that was right before I went to Portugal. And I said, if they can win today, they'll definitely make it out of the group.
Okay.
And they did. And now you're here, you're playing against, again, the most informed club team in the world.
Yeah.
Coming off Champions League victory, everything else. If an MLS team can upset a team like this against, guys that featured in the last World Cup,
right,
like Achraf Hakimi, some of these guys, that would be a huge push in momentum for Miami.
Yeah. And, I'm just looking at the lineups. They just showed them on the screen on, I think it's Univision right there. So, obviously the big four starting for Inter Miami, but I don't know if you've talked about the PSG lineups yet.
Nope. So that was
I imagine
waiting for them to drop. So that's perfect timing.
I imagine a lot of their big players are starting. But while we pull this up, thanks again to the Nessa for a Bar at the Signia by Hilton Hotel for hosting us as always. So we're doing this obviously before Tuesday's knockout stage round of 16 match between Dortmund and Monterrey, and then we'll be back here Saturday at around 11:05 or so.
Yeah, about the same thing. Yeah.
So we'll be here right after it opens. Knockout stage match between the winner of this match and the winner of Flamengo versus Bayern Munich. So look forward to that. So PSG lineups: Donnarumma starting, Hakimi, Marquinhos, as well, Pacho, Nuno Mendes, Fabian, Vitinha, John Neves, Doué, Barcola, and Kvaratskhelia starting for
who's their leading goal
PSG.
scorer, by the way.
Yeah, and then Dembele on the bench, Mbaye on the bench, Zaire Emery on the bench for PSG. We do not have the volume on outside. I think we're appreciate staying here.
It's hot and humid out there.
Yes, but that's the starting 11 for PSG. And I see some people in the chat saying 5-1 PSG. So I think, we'll get to predictions later on, but, sort of pulse check. How do you think that this match will shake out? Let me ask you this. Do we get a resolution within 90 minutes or do we go to extra time? Or penalties?
Perfect. Here we go. Yes. All right. So, yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but also it's
what do you have, Tyler? Tell us what you have.
What is the name?
What is this called?
Okay, the Ballpark Brew. I just know it is the coffee martini essentially, but yeah, it's the Ballpark Brew. It's early.
Yeah,
I need my coffee
11:20 Eastern time,
but I can add some alcohol.
So after you take a sip, tell me, do you think we'll see this resolved in 90 minutes, or will we go to extra time and or penalties?
I think this is a 90-minute game. As you have a party foul.
Yeah.
No, I think this is a 90-minute game for sure. Obviously, the big wild card here is always going to be Lionel Messi. You never know what he can pull out. He again was the game changer against Porto.
Yeah.
But I just think PSG, and I'm sorry, Miami fans, but I think PSG. I think even though starting, Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alba, who made his way back from injury recently, I don't know that that's to stop this PSG side. So,
I mean, this is pretty much a first choice PSG lineup, right?
Just
So,
about, yeah.
I mean,
there's a couple of key guys missing, but
you have to really fancy their chances to win. It's going to be. I agree. It's going to be a pretty tough task for Inter Miami today. I mean, you mentioned the big four for Miami. Who knows? They could. Yeah. We know what Messi can do. We know what Suarez certainly can do. All but Busquets. You know how they can affect the match. This is not the biggest match they've played in their entire lifetimes. Nope. Now the big question is how the other players fare, how the supporting cast fare, the other 7 players on the pitch. How will they do for Inter Miami? I think the X factor is in goal. I think goalkeeping, Donnarumma is by and large, he's one of the best keepers in the world. So it's a massive check in the box for PSG. But I think
he's coming off of maybe not one of his best matches either.
Yeah.
So,
but I think when you look at the keeper situation, I think it certainly favors PSG. The Stade for Inter Miami has had his moments, good and bad, for Miami. But I think if PSG can challenge him and really make things hard for him in goal, I think he will struggle. I think that certainly favors PSG, certainly. So
yeah,
I think if I'm PSG, challenge the Stade, challenge the ball, shoot as much as he can, I guess.
I mean, take your shots, take your chances. Yeah. I think for me, the biggest X factor is Luis Suarez. I think, you give the guy an inch, he'll take a mile. But he's also playing on like 1.5 glass knees and essentially taking shots before every match. He's as mobile as he wants. I hate to say old, but any day, you got to make things happen. And but then that could sway things a little. And that is, and I would expect at some point.
It's going to be key. So, but I think get that for that'll be massive. think we're back. Yes. I guess we're listen in the chat if you can.
You know, it's funny, right?
I think we're back.
We're back
now
live,
we're back.
and
Now
I'm
we're
just
back.
staring. So, okay, so we'll get this gentleman his drink. We
Want to
were
take another sip of your drink
take a sip
there?
of my coffee and figure out where I was at. I'm involved like food. What about you?
PSG scores a couple of goals. Mercedes-Benz Stadium. There's a noon kickoff on a Sunday.
Drinks on the way.
I think the Braves are today. I think it's a road game for them. So gives people an excuse. I think we're back, but you're almost done with your what's it
Ballpark brew?
again? Ballpark brew there.
It's so good.
And what do you have to eat, by the way?
All right,
Tell
so
us what you have to eat.
This is the
Show
this is
it
the
to the
salmon.
camera.
Let me
Pull it up.
we rarely get the time to do like a full on show and tell.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to turn it and spill it all over my computer.
Right.
But
Yeah.
salmon,
There you go.
some asparagus, mashed potatoes, and they have this amazing. It's almost like a chimichurri sauce.
Oh,
in
yeah.
a way.
Looks good.
So,
what else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about the other matches that we have going on today.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of getting to them a little bit later, but today we have Flamengo versus Bayern Munich, which you already mentioned. Bayern Munich, I think we can both agree, probably have the upper hand on that. Tomorrow, Inter Milan, Fluminense from Brazil. How do you feel about that one?
I gotta go with Inter on that one.
Inter Milan.
Yeah, Inter Milan. Yeah, no,
We could get an Inter semifinal.
That would be cool.
Or it would be a final. I'm sorry. How did you feel about Inter Milan, Inter Miami final?
I mean, let's go.
Copyright infringement.
One of
Derby.
the original Inters versus one of the newest Inters.
Copyright infringement. But yeah, I do think Inter will advance in there. Wonder if that one takes out. We already talked about Man City, Hilal, and Man City should win that one. And then on
If Man City
Tuesday-
doesn't win that one, again, no offense to Al Hilal, but strip them of everything.
yeah, they could, depending on how this ruling comes out for them.
That is true.
Fair play ruling for Man City. And then on July will be at Borussia Dortmund versus Monterrey. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited. I'm really excited about that one. So again, yeah, jumping forward a little bit, not had the best, I'll say the most convincing run in this tournament. Like, look, they're where they are because they're a good team, and you can't take that away from them. But they haven't been convincing. Like I said, Mamelodi Sundowns took them 4-3, and gave them a lot to think about. No offense to Mamelodi Sundowns, but that is a team that, look, they're great in South Africa, but they just don't have the firepower that you expect out of a lot of these other teams. So Borussia Dortmund just really hasn't had a super convincing win, in my opinion, at this point. So I think that one could be kind of a barn burner.
Yeah. We already mentioned, the Mexican fans will turn up. I mean, they always do, regardless of the opponent. One of the anecdotes we have is, I think it was Cruz Azul in the Leafs Cup against Atlanta United. We were there, the press box, and you saw the blue smoke and everything. The supporter section was right below us, and they were going pretty much all game. I imagine the same will be for Monterrey on Tuesday night.
Every Mexican team shows very well here.
No, absolutely. You'll see some Dortmund fans, obviously, but I think Monterrey fans certainly will be making themselves heard. So I feel like that could be a match that goes into extra time, could be decided in extra time or in penalties. But I'm gonna say Monterrey. I'm gonna say Monterrey.
Really?
I'm gonna pick them. Sort of the underdog in that one.
I agree with you. Okay. I agree with you. Because like I said, Dortmund just has not been convincing, in my opinion.
And then the other semifinal, or the other round of 16 match, rounding out the round of 16, Real Madrid, Juventus at Hard Rock Stadium in South Florida. What do you think of that?
If I'm not mistaken, Real Madrid is playing on a red card, which isn't a huge deal.
Yeah.
Because they just, again, their C team is better than most. It's hard to not give it to Madrid.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'll be a good match, but I think Madrid takes it.
Yeah. And, being in South Florida, I feel like you'll see a lot of Real fans there.
Yeah.
Certainly Juventus, but I feel like Real will certainly outnumber the Juve fans by a large margin down there. Hispanic American community down there. I'm sure a lot of certainly Cuban immigrants, but I'm sure a lot of
I mean,
Spanish fans, Spanish
just the fact
fans.
that they're such a massive team in general.
Yeah,
Madrid, you can go anywhere. Again, I mean, I was in Lisbon, Portugal for the past week, and obviously you're going to see your Porto. You're definitely going to see your Benfica and Sporting kits, but Real Madrid saw tons of them.
Yeah.
And I will say, I saw an Atlanta United kit.
Yeah.
I saw an Orlando kit.
Nice.
Screw them. And I also saw a what was the other one? Oh, I saw Inter Miami kit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're Madrid fan of show everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just like Manchester United. They come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. What about yesterday? Palmeiras beating Botafogo, Brazil matchup, 1-0 in extra time. Palmeiras did see a red card, so they'll be playing Chelsea on July 4th, Independence Day in Philadelphia.
What
do you make of both of those matches? Palmeiras beating Botafogo in extra time and Chelsea beating Benfica in extra time in the match that was rain delayed. But eventually, when play resumed, De Maria scored from the spot to send it extra time, and then Chelsea exploded with 3 goals in the second half of extra time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea had just kind of been like charting because they again, that's convincing as they probably should. But the amount of money that team is everything, and I know money's not money's not everything.
Yeah.
But I thought it was going to be a better game. I thought Benfica was going to give them more. But as far as the kind of Brazilian derby that we had,
Yeah.
I think the better team won. I think it was the proper outcome.
Yeah.
And the Brazilian teams have showed really well. There's always going to be that like subplot of the Brazilian teams versus the Argentine teams. They're good.
Put the photo. I'm sorry. It can be Chelsea.
Because I saw here in the Benz the very first match, what LAFC had LAFC been just clinical their game, and I think then LAFC think that they could take Chelsea. Chelsea is just not, in my opinion, all they're cracked up.
Yeah. I mean, if you win, that would possibly set up a Man City Chelsea semifinal MetLife on July 8th. So that's an interesting side of the bracket there. But I feel like, again, it'll be interesting to see who wins this match and who plays in Tuesday's match here in Atlanta. The thing about PSG is, if PSG win, they don't have to travel. They'll stay right here in Atlanta. If Miami win, they'll stay here too. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. But my point is, I think the advantage that today's winner will have on Saturday is they don't have to travel. Granted, Flamengo or Bayern Munich, they'll have to travel, but it's not super far. It'll be from South Florida, but PSG can kind of camp out here in Atlanta, kind of rest, have a few days off, versus, again, Flamengo or Bayern Munich having to travel, fly up to Atlanta, and then break camp here. Advantage for whoever wins today.
I was kind of and that's either of these teams. Here,